Hi guys! Welcome back to the Unraveling the World podcast.
Before we get into today's episode, let's hear from our sponsors.
This episode is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain it to you really quickly. To start off, it's 100% free, and there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it could be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more platforms. In fact, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. If you're interested, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Okay, so on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about overpopulation. So overpopulation is basically the condition of being populated with excessively large numbers. And obviously in our world today, there are a lot of countries facing overpopulation, and some examples of that include China, India, and there are a lot of other countries that are facing these issues as well. And it's not just that, but these countries also face negative consequences due to this issue.
Right, and just to clarify, the number of children born each year equals when the number of children born each year will equal the number of adults that die, then finally the population will stabilize. So I wanted to talk about a few reasons of why that have caused overpopulation. So as we know, there are way better medical facilities now compared to years, if not even that long ago. And so a technological advancements was probably one of the biggest reasons as to why one person dying and one person living has changed. And illnesses from thousands of years ago, they weren't and also another thing is that vaccines that. I'm sure that's also a huge thing. And another reason as to why as to overpopulation could be because of poverty. And so I'm sure you're all aware that in not many countries are as fortunate as the United States. And so many people are, if you're struggling in poverty, a lot of people don't have access to an education. And so I'm assuming this results also. No, I'm not even assuming. I'm sure that this results in higher birth rates, which is that's another thing. And then child labor. It's of course, it's a horrible thing that we have child labor, but there's approximately 150 million people, 150 million children who are working in countries with few child labor laws. So these children are being seen as a way to make money from poorer families. So if they begin to work when they're younger, they lose their educational opportunities. So especially when it comes to birth control.
Yeah, Mubina, you're completely right. These poor families, they oftentimes, they obviously lack education on these certain topics, and because of that, most of the time, people who are homeless or who are in poverty, they have big families because they need as much labor as they can receive. So they have many kids that can help around whatever they work around to earn more money for the family and whatever it might be. So that is definitely one of the leading factors or causes of overpopulation. Another factor I was thinking, I was just reading up that day, I was curious to see what population does, what's the number of population does our Earth thrive in, and that is 1.5 billion, and right now we're currently at 8 billion, and that's almost 4 times, maybe a little more times that. And we are and I was also curious to see how much the world's capacity, and that's 9 billion. So that's really not good, because I think by 2050 we'll be reaching 9 billion. So to think about and the reason these pandemics are coming, all these negative things are arriving is because of overpopulation. Like, overpopulation is most likely than not the cause of these saddening issues. So people should really pay attention on these topics. And also, I was curious to ask you, so China, they had like this one child legislation, and I was curious to see like what you guys thought about that. So basically, like, if, for example, obviously this is not actually going to happen, but because it'd be like violating people's rights, but what do you guys think of if they made a law saying that families were only allowed to have one child?
Okay, I'm so sorry. You go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I want to say that, so basically, the government is obviously looking out for the best interest of their country, but it is completely unfair of them to impose like such a law because, people, they have a child, they want to have a family, and yes, they should abide by the laws, but I don't know, I don't think that's morally right to do. And I also watched a movie called What Happened to Monday. It's based on overpopulation. So basically the movie is about these 7 girls. So essentially what happens is, because it revolves around this one child policy kind of a thing. So it's like basically the movie is about how there are 7 girls and their real names, they have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so on and so forth. But they would all pick a day so that they can go out and like live in the real world, so that they can all still live, and they won't have to like be killed by the government or stuff like that. And at one point, one of the girls got into an accident and she lost her finger, so they all had to cut off their finger, because obviously that looks a little weird if like you don't have a finger one day and then you like the next day you have a finger. So I don't know, that was an interesting movie.
So like they're septuplets and they're like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So basically they all pick a day to like actually like live in the the real world, and then they all like live in like a basement that their dad built for them to keep them all like alive and well. And they take turns, like, because there's 7 kids, like, and one day in a week.
Oh, that seems like an interesting movie. I'll definitely check it out, because I feel like, yeah, so do they like in danger, they don't want to like, that's why they come out one by one every
they come out one by one, they get food, and so they all survive. But essentially they're like opposing the government because they're doing all this in secret. And it gets really interesting near the end, because one girl like is kind of tired of this because she's in a relationship and she's like, I don't want to live like this. But it gets interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about, because even if like our government imposes such a law on the human population, I feel like a lot of these things will happen behind people's backs, which won't it'll indirectly still be harming the planet. So it'll probably cause put people in more dangerous situations if they're technically doing these things illegally. Also, I was thinking of like, what even makes a family? Like, what if what even makes a family? Like, if this woman is married to a dude and they have a child, and that's one family, and the girl is married, like they get divorced and then she marries another person. Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, does that count as a different family, or is that illegal? Or I don't know, but there are many flaws, which is why I also think it's like, bottom line, just morally incorrect. Even though I do understand like the government does have like I don't know, the government does have like good intentions, it can be perceived as something that is not correct. So
and also I feel like imposing all of these laws too, it just causes more people to do stuff behind the government's back, which also like lacks like a trust in the government, because there should be like a good bond between the government and the people, where the people can trust the government, and then in return the government can trust the people, so that we have a good functioning country, right? But when it comes to a point where like people don't agree with what the government says and goes behind their back, it just ends up being a lot of people who are just going against the law secretly, and there's not trust in either the government or the citizens.
Yeah, I feel like that's literally
Yeah, like a
already.
child's mindset.
Yeah.
Children, like when your parents want you to do something, then so look, for me, when I want to do something, and then my parents are like, oh, you should do it, then I just lose motivation to do it. Or like, I don't know, something like that. Like, if my parents tell me to not do something, then I want to do that. It's like that. That's what I think. But if the government were to impose such a law, I would. If it was 2 children, I think I'd be more understanding. But like 1 child, I don't know. I don't know.
Also, even if you think about that, it'll also increase like abortion rates because people, you don't necessarily control. Like, even if you take the right precautions and everything, you might still get pregnant, and like that might and like just increase abortion rates. And a lot of people who are against abortion, like they might be against it too, which also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, even I feel like even with 2 kids, I feel like people will argue then like a lot of people still want more than 2 kids. Like it brings up a lot of issues that are it truly does bring up a lot of issues that the government won't be able to necessarily settle and stabilize, because this is a very like 1 child legislation or even up to 2, it's not really helpful at all.
Yeah, and overpopulation is still happening in our world. It's like it's still relevant. Obviously, I'm not saying it's not, but that's not a good way of solving the issue. But I wanted to also bring up a point because you know how COVID-19 happened, and obviously there were a lot of casualties because of it. A lot of doctors and a lot of people say that it not stabilized the population, but our population is doing much better because of the number of casualties, which is almost like kind of a sad thing to say.
It is extremely sad, and it doesn't necessarily it is extremely sad, but if you think about it, the pandemic itself was caused by overpopulation, which I said earlier. Like, most of these pandemics, like since the bubonic plague, the overpopulation has only increased, and it's like it contradicts each other, because we're saying something and then the cause itself was caused by overpopulation. So it's like kind of interesting to talk about. But at the end, I feel like education, like, to go back, like, what can we do for the future? At this point, I feel like we're so far beyond the line of regular population, which is the earth would thrive with like 1.5 billion people. People forget that it's not only humans living on this planet. Like, there's so many animals, and we have to, it's their world too, and we can't, it's us that are ruining their world too. And it's kind of really sad to think about the future generations and everything, because people, it's very like dark to say, but like it's very like the future is like very, very unsure.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know, seeing the way our world is right now, there's still, I don't even know, like, a lot of people jokingly say like, oh yeah, like, like the end of the world, like, when's the end of the world gonna happen? But I honestly think, like, to end the episode, like, I think a good question would be like, how do you think the world's gonna end? As weird as it sounds and as bad of a question as it is, like, I just kind of want to know what you guys think.
Could you repeat your question?
Like, what's gonna like cause the destruction of our world?
There's so many conspiracy theories about that. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. There's just too much.
I think climate change.
You think climate change? I think it's just.
I don't know, because I feel like the world, I don't know, there's not, okay,
there's so many things, like literally so many things, I don't know which one.
Fantasy and dystopian types, that's a whole different story, but we don't have any
No, I'm being like real, like serious.
Actual seriousness. Yeah. I really feel like it's gonna be overpopulation, because dude, at this rate that we're going at, like India and like Asian countries, they're already at like what, 2 billion combined, and China and India combined, like, and then the rest of the population, it's only getting bigger because India and these Asian
And
countries,
India's population still hasn't stabilized.
And especially these Asian countries, these topics are very stigmatized, and people don't want to educate. They don't want to educate their children because the only thing they're preaching is abstinence, and that's not something that's not working clearly. So that's why I honestly feel like right now it'll be overpopulation.
But did you guys know that India's population is bound to so India's population is gonna peak at 2047, and then about 1.61 billion, and then it's gonna decline to 1.03 billion by 2100.
See, because of that. And it took India like so long to stabilize COVID, and it's still not where it should be. So I honestly feel like, and COVID is just, I swear, it's like because of the population COVID came, and there's gonna be more. It's so sad. Literally, I'm gonna be in tears. But like, like I really feel like overpopulation will be the.
Yeah, like India is one of the biggest, is one of the major countries that struggles with overpopulation. Like, I've traveled to India, right? Like, I've seen like firsthand, like especially population are one of the biggest consequences because of overpopulation. It's just like I don't like when I go to India, like I have to wear like a dupatta like around my mouth, like to prevent like like. Because, like, it's very different, the atmosphere here and then in India, right? The air quality, the air quality is, like, so much, like, different from here to there. So it's, like, obviously, if I go there, I'm not going to be used to it. So I have to, like, wear, like, a dupatta or whatever to, But, I don't know, the pollution in India is so bad, and overpopulation, it's crazy.
So like going back to your question, Kavi, I really feel like it'll be overpopulation. Overpopulation is a very blunt answer, but that is the most cause of everything, so I'm just gonna stick with that.
Like talking about overpopulation now, like yes it is, but there's also like so many other issues in our world, like climate change, like I don't even know, there's like so many like wars going on. I wouldn't be surprised if something happened and like humanity was wiped out because of a war or something.
Oh my god.
I'm not kidding. Like our country, like not our country, but people are just weird.
People are just weird. Yeah.
Yes.
That like made me sad, dude. Cause I was researching for overpopulation for this episode, and I saw so much. It's like the world is coming to an end.
Yeah, it really is. But
but at least it's not gonna end while we're alive.
Dude, that's sad though, cause it's our future generation. We're gonna be the ancestors of the people.
What if a meteor like comes like in like, or is it a meteor? Am I saying
meteor?
Yeah. Okay, my bad. Same thing. Okay, if it like comes and then like I don't know, wipes out the whole planet. Like you never know. That's what happened to the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, but something. Oh, dude. A good thing is like people are trying to get to Mars and stuff, so that's like good.
Yeah, because we already ruined this planet, so we just need.
Yeah, let's just destroy another planet.
No, wait. Do you guys think that like how do you think we would end overpopulation though? Like, there's literally nothing that's
that's what's scary, dude. That's
literally the thing. Like,
bro, I've seen so many movies. You know what? I saw another movie too about overpopulation. It's called The Thinning. I think it was like featuring Logan Paul or something. It was actually pretty good, the movie. Okay. Forget Logan Paul was in the movie, okay? But like the main keeping quote unquote smart people because there is overpopulation. So in order to bend, they usually only want to keep smart people. So they kept people were given a test and you had to score an 80% and above, and then the rest of the people were like taken away. But there was like a plot twist at the end of the movie, and I'm not gonna split. There's like a plot twist at the end of the movie,
Wait, what's the plot?
No.
I'm not saying.
Text me the plot twist.
I won't. You should watch it.
check-
It's
No.
a good movie though. It was like one of my favorite movies. I like totally recommend it though.
But yeah,
And on
Yeah,
that
yeah.
note, I think
No, I feel like wait. Before we end it, I was just like here, like I really don't think there's like a end to overpopulation, right?
I don't think there's any way to cure it. Like I don't like what's the only solution that I can think of was what the government suggested, 1 kid per day.
That's
See,
still going above. Like everyone's still gonna have kids, and if there's 8 billion and they all have 1 kid, it'll be like what, a double.
Okay.
I mean, people are still dying.
Half of us, some are, well, remember, not everyone is female. Not everyone wants kids, also,
Yeah.
and many are infertile. So we should also keep that in mind.
But it still goes back to the fact that like people are gonna have it. People are gonna do this. People are gonna have kids behind their back, and it's like the movie. It's like
So then
people
they
are-
should check, right? I don't know.
There's
Bro,
no.
but the thing,
There are
no
too
matter
many
how
people for
many,
them to check.
it's like a thing, right? If I'm not gonna use like actual examples, but I don't know, if the more restrictions you put on someone, the more they're gonna want to do it. Like it's even like with our parents, right? Like, you know, your parents take away your phone, you like find a way to still be on it. Like that was me, okay? But I don't know, I feel like if you're more open and have a good relationship, you'd thrive, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But-
how many kids do people have on average?
2 to 3. No,
Yeah.
that's wrong. 2.
I think it's 2, right? Yeah.
It
Oh,
depends
see,
also
most
in
kids-
where, like,
I don't really see people who are one child. Like
I've never
yeah,
seen.
have
I don't
siblings,
really
right?
see like 3 children often. Like I just know one person.
Wait,
with
all
3 children.
3 of us have siblings, so it's like
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
that's like also it depends on where you live too, you know, like in New Jersey, like it also depends on where you live, because in some religions it's like common to have like more than like 1 or 2 kids, you
Also,
know.
people in like okay, this brings up another issue. Like people in India and stuff, they won't stop having kids until they have a boy. But
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's
mentioned in the
another
Dolly
thing I
episode.
want to talk about. But
Yeah,
I think we talked about that in our previous episode.
yeah, we did. So check that out if you haven't yet. But yeah, we talked about quite a few things and we covered quite a few topics today.
Yeah, so I think that brings us to a conclusion.
Thank you guys for listening to our episode,
And be
I
sure
hope
to tune in to the next one.
Bye.
That was such an awkward, such an awkward.